house. Tip 3, you don't wanna fuck with me. And niggas wasn't fancy till I came out. Niggas wasn't fancy till I came out.
I haven't made a video like this in a while, but I kind of want to talk about video games. I have a pretty vast gaming history, whether that be genres, consoles. I don't know, I just feel like the escapism that I get from gaming is unmatched to literally anything else that I could be doing, like in 2023, like in life at the moment. Like, it kind of just pulls me out of what my responsibilities are, and kind of just some of the harsh realities of the world whenever I'm on my true gaming shit. But in order for me to be a true gamer, right, I have to actually play games. Halo 3 matchmaking was my first experience with multiplayer online gaming. And I had played multiplayer games before, but it had all been like local co-op, split screen type of situations. You see, like most of my earliest gaming experiences were like single player adventures. So my first system that I owned myself was a GameCube. And if you can think about the GameCube, you know, there were plenty of single player adventures for people to be playing. A lot of classics on that system. But the three that I'm gonna be talking about real quick are the three that stood out to me most in my youth. Metroid Prime. It was definitely my introduction to first-person shooters, and unlike, you know, Halo or Call of Duty, there was a little bit more flair in the level design, you know, the game mechanics. You know, they had a certain traversal and movement that I had seen in other games, you know, like Marble Blast. I didn't know anything about Super Metroid, the NES, none of that. This first-person shooter, shooting aliens, this was my introduction to Metroid, first-person shooters, and just the genre as a whole. And little did I know that that game was a classic. I didn't know at the time that I would be playing a classic. You know, at the time of me playing it, it was just a game. Music and enemy type were really strong in that game. I always felt the atmosphere, the intro, the menu music, the menu screen, even the opening cutscene all give like this sense of dread. I remember being really spooked out by a lot of just the feelings that I was getting just watching it. A lot of the creepy looking textures. It's like I didn't want to touch anything in the world. It was like dirty. If it wasn't for like emulation, then I wouldn't have been able to actually get to enjoy Metroid Prime. Because back then I could only play it at certain times of the day, and when I was a kid I actually could never complete it. Unlike the second game on my list, Batman Begins.
Morons! Lower this damn thing! Ah! What? What the hell are you? I'm Batman. What?
This game was the original Arkham title. And while the Rocksteady games are definitely what people champion, I feel like this game and the features that they were implementing were definitely the precursor to everything that they did in Asylum. Even with Arkham Knight, they had Batmobile sections in Batman Begins that weren't annoying and obnoxious. The Batmobile sections in Batman Begins, the game, feel relevant to the story. And as a movie tie-in game compared to what was coming out at the time, Batman Begins, I feel like, stands alone as one of the best superhero games, period. Superhero games is something I want to touch more on in another video. I'm pretty passionate about them myself. But this was the Batman adventure I could play. I felt like I was Batman from the movies or Batman from the TV shows, the cartoons, but I was playing it, getting to experience that on a game system. So going back to what I was talking about with escapism, talking about this third title, Power Rangers Dino Thunder. This was a game that when we talk about immersion and escapism, like I was just referring to, I thought this was going to be the greatest game ever. And when I seen it on those Blockbuster shows way back when, it was like, yo, I had to live out my power fantasy of being a teenager with attitude. Like, little did I know that it would be one of the important gaming experiences of my life, while also being like the most disappointing. The game it's like a third-person action game where you fight enemies, you solve some puzzles, and then you unlock characters. And it sounds really good, like as a Power Rangers game, fighting enemies, solving puzzles, third-person action. Like, that's what we wanted, but it wasn't really that. It's like you're trapped inside of your Battle Zord, which is this slow-moving, clunky mech, which could have been fun, not for Power Rangers Dino Thunder the game, maybe for Mech Warrior 5 or something. But anyway, Power Rangers Dino Thunder was a pretty weak game in terms of what I was expecting, but what it had to offer, what it was, the Zord gameplay didn't necessarily suck, but the whole game just felt like a side mission, a very long, drawn out side mission. And the game itself wasn't even that long. The experience was short. I was about to say, yo, my phone just went off. Sorry about that. Like I said, it's short, about an hour and a half long. And towards the end, they just start throwing hella shit at you. Every enemy that you've seen up until this point, if I remember correctly, it was like a lava mission. I remember fire everywhere, and it's like you free the last Zord, and that's it. You get a little cutscene, and that was the end of the game. If it sounds boring, check out the intro cutscene and take into consideration this is supposed to be what catches you.
Dr. O, we've come under attack. Kira and Ethan are gone.
Whoa, slow down, Connor. What happened?
Zeltrax sent a new giant army to attack the Zords. They drained power from Kira and Ethan's Zords and transported them somewhere.
Whoa, slow down, Connor. What happened?
We hadn't actually gotten to Madden 25 yet, but I was dreading the name. And it's funny now that we're really close to it. So I wonder what they're going to do for Madden 25 now that they already have a Madden 25. How are they going to handle that? But anyway, my idea was that they would take Madden and that would be the name of the game. It would just be Madden, right? And the yearly release would just be a yearly update. It's like, yeah, you buy Madden once and you update the game. You pay for a yearly update. And, you know, the only reason why I said that was because there are never any improvements to the Madden engine.
Look at this, big gain, but a fumble. And he gets it back.
No! Get that! Clip that! Clip that! Clip that!
That close within entries. It's usually the same game year to year to year to year to year. Huge improvements within the engine don't really happen. With the other sports games, they would follow suit. You would just have NBA 2K or NBA Live, no year on it, but it could essentially be a free-to-play game with paid updates or paid cosmetics. But the point I'm trying to make is that games themselves are like the modern film industry, extremely commercial and creatively bankrupt. Elden Ring is probably going to go down in history as the game to break games. I don't really see the developers, from software necessarily topping what they've done, because I don't necessarily see if they can do it again. I mean, what if they gave us another open world? Would we want that? Would we want to go back to a more Dark Souls 1, 2, 3 traditional style of like a linear type of progression with, proper scaling instead of it being like open world scaling? Do we want it to become more of an RPG in the way of, hit points and damage numbers being on loot and, loot boxes? Do we want loot boxes in Elden Ring? I really don't see where else they can go with that, and that's just in the core gameplay mechanics itself. We haven't even gotten to the way that bosses work and function. And that's not to say that Elden Ring is a bad game. It's just a third-person action game. The third-person adventure game, like Last of Us, like God of War, is the new standard for AAA action. And once again, everything feels samey and everything looks samey. There's no real progress and creativity into what games become popular these days. And God of War Ragnarok may be the most overrated piece of media of all time. It's the sequel to a classic, which is the reboot of an original trilogy, which borrows the same character but completely drops the fantasy, the fantastical, and nerfs the main hero into a more identity politics serving accepting archetype. I'm not talking about Star Wars, and that's what you would think based off of that description. It's like, yo, could you believe that these clips are from the same franchise?
Oh,
Ready?
that was a hug.
Are you hurt?
Are you?
Will it be our turn? The gods have truly blessed you, Kratos.
Since Elden Ring has come out, it hasn't necessarily been topped, and I don't necessarily see it being topped anytime soon. I see Elden Ring as our Skyrim, our Fallout 4, our GTA 5, these genre-defining games that will probably be the standards for the industry for coming years, whether that be for melee combat, Souls-likes, action-adventure games. Elden Ring is going to be it. Other than Elden Ring, there's one game that's come out this year that I have seen divide the fan bases along with the communities that support it. I've seen once fans turn into haters, and then I've seen haters turn into genuine diehards of the genre and of the franchise. And what game is this? It's another remake. Somebody had a pro tip